So welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today Tony Sayers is back. Transcendingtimes.org is his website.
2 years, you got it right.
And all the links to his YouTube channel and so forth will be in the description box. So, Tony, today we wanted to talk a little bit about spirituality.
I hate that word.
Yeah, I know.
It's so corrupted.
Yeah, of course it has been corrupted. Would you, or do you see a huge difference between spirituality and religion?
Um, Actually, no, I don't. To be honest with you, I would say that they're one and the same thing. It's just been repackaged, and we know that that was what Helena Blavatsky, the Luciferian who started the New Age movement, that was the intention. They knew that people were losing literal faith with religion, and they needed something new to control the minds of people, to give them false hopium, to give them saviors. And so instead of like Jesus, we now have Archangel Michael, and spirit guides and spirit animals and all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, when you look closely, and we've done a lot of shows on breaking down the some of the rhetorics that are pushed within the New Age, it really is just about encouraging spiritual bypassing and getting people to stand down and, not judging. Don't judge, don't get angry, just keep your vibration high. And so, yeah, what they don't want is they don't want people taking action and being self-responsible, and that's what the New Age does. It again, instead of you taking action, instead of like praying to Jesus and that kind of stuff that people did before, now it's more, seeking guidance from these deities, these entities, essentially, they're negative entities that are masquerading of beings of the light, and people are getting manipulated and tied up in knots. I speak about it so much on my channel with all the stories that I've heard down the years where people have been channeling certain entities, certain beings, followed the advice of the information that they were getting, and their life just ends up in sometimes literal car crashes. This I always tell the story of the guy that thought he was channeling his dead father, because these entities know everything about us. They record our lives. That's why you have a life review at the end of your life. If you go down the tunnel, which we probably have, that's why we're here, right? So, but so they know us better than we know ourselves, and they know all our strong points, all our weak points, and they push those buttons. And for this particular guy, he said to me, Tony, this entity knew everything about me, even knew what my favorite food was, knew the name of my cat, and all this kind of stuff. And so obviously that gave him a lot of security, and he ended up following the advice of this entity that was masquerading of his dad, and I think he lost his house, his wife, he's just everything just went to horse shit, basically. So yeah, I think it's very important for them to, whatever they're putting out, they always need people looking for a savior. And the New Age is the new version of that, this spirituality, which, like I say, I don't even like that word anymore. I prefer the word sovereignty to where we need to go, really. But they need you to believe that someone knows something better than you, someone is able to help you rather than you help yourself, and someone is coming to save you. And so all these things that were in religion, we're seeing it now within the New Age movement, and or spirituality, whatever you want to refer to it as. and it just makes us weak. It makes us weak as a movement of people that are supposed to be clued up to what's going on. We should be standing in our power, taking action, being vocal, and certainly doing the opposite of what mainstream spirituality teaches us. And especially when you look at what spirituality is doing to the males, it's feminizing them. I mean, I've been around so-called spiritual men, and I mean, you shake their hand and it's like a wet lettuce, you know. It's just terrible, you know. And they're all love and light, and you know, I did a podcast the other day where we were joking about men's circles, and I was like, I'd rather kick myself in the balls than attend one of these men's circles where all these men are standing in a circle in robes saying, you know, I love you, brother, and you know, we'll just keep our vibrations high and all this stuff. I mean, you know, the men in society are supposed to be the protectors and the action takers, and that, of course, that knocks that out of the men because they're told to just accept, never get angry, and all that nonsense. So yeah, it's just a complete scam, the whole thing. I mean, I say really what they've done is they've got the nugget of truth, which is that you know, we're energy and we don't die. And they've just peppered it with all this bullshit, which is what they always do, truth mixed with lies. So they've taken the most powerful truth, which I think anyone can understand, is that we're not mortal in that sense. Our physical bodies are. But then they've shrouded it with all this nonsense and deception. And so, yeah, it's an upgraded version of religion, and it was created as such. So, yeah.
So you have talked a lot now about what I would call the corrupted version of spirituality. Yet what we see around the world, all cultures have it, this desire to connect to something that is bigger than themselves. Call that God, universe, whatever. I don't care what you actually call it. But wouldn't you say that this is, yeah, something that we can observe?
Yeah, what I believe is there is a creative intelligence. What's happened here is somehow things have got hijacked, and this reality has been overlaid by this kind of like AI system, and what I refer to as the false God. This God that needs you to like worship him, and he needs you to get up at 4 a.m. and pray, and you know, all this weird stuff that you would. I mean, think about it logically. If you created something like yourself, why would you need your creation to worship you and give you all this attention? I mean, not only is it insecure, it's narcissistic. And when you really study the NDEs, I made a recent video about, I broke it down where this woman, she died and she was having a conversation with God, and God told her how much he loved her, and she was looking down on the planet. The planet was burning, and God said he was sad, and she said, "Why are you sad, God?" He's like, "Because they didn't believe." So, you know, because they didn't believe him, he set them all on fire, right? And then, you know, God's telling her that she's got free will. It's all about free will, and she's like, "Oh, I want to stay with you," and he's like, "Oh, you can't, because you've got a mission, quote unquote. You need to go back." She's like, "I don't want to go back. Please don't make me go back." "Well, you need to go back to complete your mission." "Yeah, but I don't want to." And she actually uses the words, quote, you can see this for yourself. "And then I was stuffed back in my body," right? Stuffed back in my body, right? So on the one hand, she's saying that she's got free will and that God gives us free will, but then yet she's being stuffed back in her physical body to come back down here again. So where is the free will? And she keeps repeating that we have free will and we have free will, and it's just nonsense. I mean, you try you try crossing a border without your slave book, right? You can't. You'll get locked up. So there is this there is an entity that masquerade, probably several entities that masquerade as God. They tell you anything, right? They just whatever you want to hear, they'll tell you. They'll feed you all the nonsense BS, whatever BS that you're into, they'll feed it to you. So it doesn't have to be God. It can be Jesus. It can be deities, Archangel Michael, whatever your thing is. The AI system works it out. It's like, right, how can we hook Judith back round? Okay, well, she was really close to her great grandmother, and she was really into angels in her physical life. So let's show up. Let's put on a good show, because they put on a good show when you die. And for other people, maybe they might need to appear as, they call them, elders or robed beings. You hear a lot of the time that they wear robes because humans, they associate robes with knowledge, I guess. And when you listen to these NDEs, all you hear is people pedestalizing these deities, these entities. They hang off every word that they say. And what happens? Like Pied Piper, they get led over the cliff back down here again. And so, the reason I've spent so many years calling out the New Age is because I just see it as the most dangerous rhetoric out there, because it's complete falsehood. Like I say, the truth that we're energy, I think, is really the only one that's worth taking away. There's so much in there that's nonsense. The whole idea that Earth is a school and we're here to learn lessons. I mean, how many times do we need to come back and do this stuff, right? And why, if it's a school, why does our memory get wiped? The veil of forgetfulness. There was one DE that I reviewed where the guy, he didn't want to come back, as most of them don't, and he didn't want to go through the veil of forgetfulness. And there's actually a school. The entity said, well, look, we've got a school that you can get used to, doing that again before you actually do it. So they have like training camps and shit going on in the astral. And there's other accounts of like entire libraries and things like that. So, and as far as I know, there's souls that have jobs up there. So people are working, like just like here, right? So it never ends. So that's weird. There's like a black crow that's just landed on my balcony, is looking straight in the window. How weird is that? I wonder if I can show you. Hang on, let me see. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It literally just landed like right in front of me. I'm sure that's some kind of AI or something trying to disturb the flow. It's literally just sitting there, just looking at me. That's so weird. So yeah, it's dangerous because it gets people to stand down and accept. You hear it all the time. Just accept. Don't judge. I mean, by not judging, is like that's how we've ended up in this mess. We're not. Judging is a good thing, right? And for the New Agers that say they don't judge, it's absolute nonsense. I mean, we're judging all the time. And of course, they're judging you for not judging, but they're making judgments because you're judging. So yeah, it's the problem with it is, Judith, is it feels good for people, and I get that. People have had a lot of trauma here, difficult lives. Many people have difficult lives, and so this is a comfort blanket for them, and I get it. Like who doesn't want to? I mean, I'd love it if I had a team of guides around me, but got my back. But if our guides are so good, why are we still here on this planet of trauma and suffering? Surely they would guide us so we learn our lessons, apparently, and we get the hell out of here. So it's just deception after deception. But going back to your initial question, yeah, I do believe that there is a creative intelligence behind, or source maybe, where we are a fractal of that. And I liken it to like the wave of the ocean. And you know, again, I've researched a lot of, you know, and I've actually had a breakthrough myself years ago. I don't recommend it now, but I did take something, acid actually, and I did have that experience. I was on the beach, and it was literally everything that I thought I was just molded into everything. It was so bizarre, and you know, all my problems, everything I thought I was, everything to do with my ego, everything that I worked myself up to be, melted into everything. And that's really stood with me. And I remember at the time I was a little bit pissed off, because I was like, hang on a minute, you're telling me all my problems and everything that I've built myself up to be actually just like molds into this everything. Like, so is that me or is it not? So it was a weird experience for my ego to, you know, to digest that. But I believe that we can, I feel like we have the choice to remain the fractal that we are, or we could go back. But to do that, we've got to learn about what happens, you know, when we pass, so we can make those choices. Because at the moment and I don't like using the word soul trap, I rather call it soul trick, because I don't believe that we're trapped here forever. They would like us to believe that. But certainly we've been tricked here, and that's why it's called a matrix, right? So once you learn the game and you learn the scam, particularly after we pass, then it loses all its power, because there's no way that I'm going to be talking to, you know, any angels or, you know, God deities or anything like that. So, and it's all about, yes, judging, yes, discernment, all the things that New Age tells you not to do. And what's really interesting right now is that, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people are dying. A lot of people are getting these turbo cancers, and we're going to see more of that over the next few years. And the incredible amount of NDE channels and NDE propaganda. There was a Disney film called Soul, where, you know, they talk about going to the white light, and there's been Netflix series. So it's almost like this is increasing parallel to people, you know, getting ill and getting sick. And of course, what does that do? If you've been told that you've got terminal cancer, or, you know, whatever, and you stumble across these agents of the matrix, which is what I call them now, because they've had their experience and they're being used to come down and repeat the propaganda that when you die, it's okay, everything's going to be all right. You know, God's going to be there for you. Your favorite angel, your guides are going to be there. The elders are going to be there, and that gives people comfort, and I get that, but it's false comfort. It's more deception. So it's really important that, and I don't feel that you can digest that part of it until you've digested the fact that this spirituality that we call it is also a scam. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with knowing that your energy and you can never truly die. But all the rest of it that comes along with that, I would say leave it at the door. And I think that's where people are running into problems. They're drinking the whole bottle of Kool-Aid, you know, rather than the part that's important. And like I say, it's because it makes people feel good. You know, who doesn't want to believe that when they pass over, you know, their loved one is going to be there, or you know, whatever they believed in their physical life. So I understand it, and I understand that while you're here physically as well, those things can make you feel better, and they do. This is why a lot of people get triggered by what I say, you know, because I'm taking away their comfort blanket. I'm ripping it off them, you know. I'm saying that, and they're like naked. They're like, whoa, no, I'm not ready for this. No. But I always say, like, do you want to feel good in the moment, or do you want to get the hell out of here? And there is a grieving process with this information. I've had people tell me, you know, for a couple of months they were you know, they had to get over the fact that the guides weren't who they thought they were, and you know, all this stuff. And but once you integrate it and you embody it and you realize, hang on, this was also a scam, you can move on from it, and you can make better decisions, and hopefully those decisions will help you get out of here. So yeah, the whole spirituality movement is it's just another cult. I mean, we spoke last time about cults.
If it's corrupted, yeah.
Yeah.
That is how I would put it. And like everything else, it can, I mean, anything that can be corrupted in this realm will be corrupted. We can put our heads on that and not lose it.
Yeah, but I think that the fundamentals of it are corrupted. It's embodied in corruption. Again, you just look at the teachings in there that spirituality is based upon. Who does it benefit? It doesn't. It benefits a force that's trying to control and dominate. Who does it benefit by never getting angry? And I'm not saying that we have to dwell in anger. I'm just saying that anger, righteous anger, used in the right way, can drive massive change. Who does it benefit to just sit under a tree singing Kumbaya, keeping your vibrations high, as children in Gaza are being, you know, blown up and stuff? You know,
I understand what you're saying, but the way I feel you now, it is more this, yeah, maybe your problem is with that those people started bringing this word spirituality more and more into the awareness of the public. But the original meaning, you know, in terms of understanding, experiencing that there is something more, there is something bigger than yourself. I would not say that that is corrupted from the get-go.
No, that's what I said. I mean, I said that I believe there's original creative essence or source, if you want to call it that, that we all come from. And to connect with that, I feel like you just go inwards. I don't feel like you go outwards, and you just connect with, because I feel like we're a fractal of that. So, but the problem is people are going out there into the astral, which is their playing field, and trying to connect with all these different, you know, false gods and false deities. That's where people are getting unstuck. So, yeah, there's still a beautiful truth at the core of it that people want to connect with, and indeed, you know, I ponder on and I mean, I said the other day that I quite like being me, and I think if I had the choice, I don't know if I'd go back to being like the part of the ocean. So maybe I'll just go and have another experience somewhere else in another matrix where it's not so kind of gangster, you know. Maybe it's more like Avatar-like, but yeah. So yeah, there is a core beautiful truth underneath all of the shrouding of BS. So I'm not trying to take that away from people. It's just that it's been shrouded so badly with all these layers of BS and entities that are masquerading, that people are connecting with the wrong things and putting their hope and dreams into the wrong things. That's my point, I think.
So I found one quote that says, religion is believing in somebody else's experiences. Spirituality is having your own. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I think there is an objective truth. because I don't trust other people's experiences, because I don't trust that they know what they're dealing with. Not everyone, but so for example, you could say you could spend all day watching a bunch of NDEs, and their experience is their experience, but the objective truth of their experience is they were recycled back here. So it's up to us to direct our consciousness and our willpower into the right pathway, which is going to result in the true objective experience that is good for us. Does that make sense?
Um,
I don't know
did
if I
you
worded
just
that
say,
right. Sounded a bit gobbledygook, that one, didn't it? But no, I think what I'm trying to say is, because people are mainly ignorant, in the spirituality movement, they're mainly ignorant. Then their experiences are based on deception. Many of their experiences are based on deception. So people that
it
are
can be.
channeling and stuff like that. So I'm not going to take their experiences as an objective, because for me, those people that haven't gone deep enough, they haven't spent the hours researching about what happens and how manipulative these entities are. They haven't looked into the memory wipe, the veil of forgetfulness, the life reviews, those kind of things. So they'll be out there saying, "Oh, I had a great experience. I dealt with this," and you can say, "Oh, well, that's your experience. It's good experience." But is that really a beneficial experience, or is it just they got manipulated?
I remember when I was still practicing Tibetan Buddhism, most of the teachers always said, yeah, there is nothing to believe in Buddhism. Either you have an experience or you don't. Yeah. Although when you dig into, let's say, the life of Buddha himself, there are things that I find outlandish. Everybody was always proud of the fact that Buddhism does not molest the common sense with virgin birth and so on and so forth. But then the story goes that as soon as Buddha was born, he was able to walk, and where he walked, lotus flowers bloomed. Yeah, well, guys, I would say that is something that I definitely have to believe. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. The Jesus walking on water, that's another one, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff that people believe, and yeah, I mean, I think I think we just have to really grow up out of these things. What annoys me is when there's any kind of bad thing that goes on, people are there, "Oh, I'll pray for you. I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray." Like, when does that work? When has that ever worked? We've been praying for peace like for millennia, and we've still experienced constant wars and all this stuff, but people continue to do those things instead of taking action, which is probably what we really need to be doing. It's just easier to sit and say a prayer to some deity. So yeah, it's just one thing after another with those religions.
When you say there is, and I say the same, there is an intelligent, creative force. Okay. So is it that this force just doesn't care? I mean, that is a disturbing thought, that you create something and then it gets hijacked. Yeah. And yeah, but it appears nothing is really done about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's a question that I sometimes think about. I don't know if I have the answers to that. Maybe it's just a literal. Maybe it has no kind of feeling of good or bad. I don't know. It's just a creative process or a creative source of infinite impossibilities, and somebody or something has created this, and some other creation has overlaid it, and made it what it is. Or I believe that we were tricked to come here at some point. That's what feels true to me. Knowing how deceptive these entities are, it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we were somewhere else, in another matrix or another realm, let's say, and these entities showed up and said, "Hey, look, why don't you come to Earth? It's really beautiful. We have nature, and yada yada yada, whatever." And I don't know. I feel like we were manipulated here, but yeah, I don't know. Does the true essence really? I mean, that's an eternal question that I can't answer. But
Yeah,
you would,
I'm not asking you to get the answer. I
yeah,
was just, I brought it up because I thought about it recently, and a little bit more than usual. And so I was just testing the waters if you have
yeah,
ever
yeah,
along those lines.
yeah. No, it's a good question. I mean, you would think that there would be some kind of intervention. But if we have the fractal of that essence within us, then maybe it's down to us to be that intervention. Um, so that I think that sounds right to me. That because we are fractals of that creation, then and again that then goes back to taking self responsibility and taking action and being those changes and that we want to see and speaking those changes, speaking the truth. So maybe the true essence does care, and it cares through people like yourself and me that are spending our free time putting out podcasts, putting out content, and all that kind of stuff. So the what we're looking for in that is maybe what we have within inside us.
Mm, yeah. Um, you know, another thing that really puzzles me with all these religions, because religion has been a force for violence here on this earth. And you would think that, if there is a personal creator, that he gives, yeah, let's say, a set of rules or guidelines, or that is acceptable to everybody, and then people will say, yeah, but you have it in the Bible, you have it in the Quran, you have it here, you have it there, but they are all very, very different. And that is something that doesn't make sense to me. If there is one creator, there should be one set of rules, and not one set of rules here, one set of rules there. And
Yeah,
at the end of the day, everybody is fighting against everybody because they think their God is bigger or more mighty or whatever. And so you are in a constant squabble.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that was the original reason that religions were created to, play one off against the other, like Muslims against Jews, Jews against Christians, and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's just another creation, man-made creation to keep us the whole divide and conquer rhetoric that they constantly use against us to to stop us from looking at who the real problem is. And this is another thing in terms of like you see it a lot in the self-help movement, you know, everything, or even again the new age, or you know, the spiritual movement. Everything's our fault, you know. It's either our karma, or it's our lessons that we need to choose to come back, or you know, we're not healed enough, and you know, all this kind of stuff. It's never. Hang on a minute. I'm in a reality which is, it's a farm, it's a loosh farm, and it's geared for trauma and suffering. Like, they don't want you to come to that realization. They want you to think it's all about you and what you're lacking, or what you haven't done on yourself, to yourself, or yeah, like I say, your karma, or yeah. So the Matrix does a very good job of you know, hiding in the backgrounds and getting everyone to point the fingers, even at themselves, before it will point the finger at the actual matrix, and how this place is set up. So, and what you're talking about there is just another extension of that. It's yeah.
Mhm. What also puzzles me is there's always this one singular, usually a guy. Never heard that a woman got any insight from any deity. You know, and then there is the mountain, and the dude disappears, and then he comes back and gives all the insights to the
Yeah.
rest of the crowd. So why is it always somebody in seclusion? Why is it not possible to do it transparently for everybody so that everyone is clear on it?
Yeah, I know. Just it needs to choose certain people. You know, even with David Icke, we have that, don't we? He was in the mountains in Peru, and you know, he got his head zapped with all this information apparently, and it's like, okay, so yeah, it's always, you know, it's got to be one special person, you know, that's specially chosen. Like the general public, you know, the mere mortals like you and I, we can't be privy to that special information, right? So yeah, it's that's another program.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, but what would you say? Why is it that we are still so, yeah, dependent on this wish to be safe, be it the political savior, the alien savior, the religious savior, whatever it might be? Um, I recently had an interview with Trina Phoenix, and she brought up something that I found quite interesting, that we have been for 26,000 years in the age of Pisces, and it has this energy of I believe.
Mm,
And we are now going out of it, and Aquarius then has the energy I know.
mm,
So would you say that, I mean, yeah, maybe we see little plants of it here and there, that people are starting to drop the Savior program. But would you say it has something to do with it, that we have been bathing in this energy for so long that it appears to be, yeah, almost impossible
mm.
not to have a savior on some level?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, energetically, planetary, maybe there's. I mean, not maybe. I think there is. There's definitely a shift in energies or whatever. Like all the ancient cultures have spoken about, you know, this shift. The Mayans, where I'm in Mexico, they spoke about it. So I think there is maybe something bigger that is helping with this process, but I wouldn't rely totally on that. I still think that we need to take action, and you know, doing things like this is encouraging people to move towards their sovereignty, which I much prefer the word sovereignty to the word spirituality. So, and with sovereignty you can still be energy, and you can still be connected to what we were talking about, the creative essence of everything. But it's about being streetwise. It's about being discerning. It's about taking action. It's about, you know what, if there's an injustice in the world, I'm going to get frigging angry about it, because I need that emotion to kick me into taking that action that I need to take. Um, And so, and of course, it's about becoming your own leader. You know, everyone's. I mean, I've got a couple of other hobbies that I do, and there was this instance the other day where something needed to be organised, and there's like 300 people in the Telegram group, and everyone was waiting on each other, right? No one would take in. Like in the end, I took over. But it was interesting to me that just watching people waiting, and as soon as I stepped up, people followed. Right? It was just, and I thought, you know what? This is like a cancer in society. This, you know, waiting for people to lead you, looking for people to save you, and this is this is the biggest problem I think that we have, is that we want someone or something to come and do the things that we need to do ourselves. And there's so many examples of this. Like, people will say to me, you know, oh, you're lucky that you live in Mexico, and I'm like, I'm not lucky. Like, I worked my butt off. I left everything, and made a lot of changes. That, like, it didn't happen by accident, right? And they're in the same situation that they were in like 15, 20 years ago, still moaning, right? It's like, no, I just got off my backside, took the action that I needed to take, and created the life that I preferred, right? So, you see that a lot, just people moaning and whinging that things, I know people have different circumstances, but again, it's just about, we have a lot of power and we want to give that away. And of course, the other thing is that the people want to feel good as well. I think that's that is the basis of the Savior program, is that they want to believe that someone or something. I mean, what we're seeing now with the Robert Kennedy Jr., right? He's the new savior on the block. Trump's going to come back. We're going to have some fun podcasts about that in the next few years, I would imagine. I've got a lot of American friends. They absolutely adore Trump. Like, it's scary. It's scary how much they adore Donald Trump. Like, and they are just so happy that he's going to come back and save them, quote unquote, save them. And these are just people around here. Like, I just talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, we don't like Biden, but Trump's coming back. We love Trump. And they make all these memes about him, and so we just go from one savior to the next. And they always present them as what I've noticed down the years is there's always like an older figure. Like, we had Bernie Sanders, now we've got Robert Kennedy with so-called Parkinson's, which I don't even believe that. In the UK, we had a guy called Jeremy Corbyn, right? And he was like an older man, and he was supposedly like anti-war and all this stuff, and everyone loved him. And then, of course, he pulled the rug on everyone, just like they always do. And it's really frustrating that we never seem to work out that these saviors never work out for us in the long run. They never work out, whether it be Jesus, whether it be Trump, whether it be the Galactic Federation of Light. We're still stuck here on a slave planet. Everyday trauma and suffering. Things are getting worse. They're not getting better. So how are these things? How do these things ever help us? And it's really frustrating. And I know you find it frustrating that we move on from one I just can't, like, even in the alternative media, you get the next politician come along, and you think people have grasped the fact that you're never going to get any change through politicians. And they all come in and they're all, he's different. This one's different this time. And these are people in the alternative media, let alone the general public.
Mm. I know exactly what you mean. I think, if we had, especially here, EU and the USA, we had the last 5 to 4 years extreme nonsense going on, and still going on. And I think there comes a point where people just desire somebody with at least a little bit of common sense. And yes, of course, in minute uh, things, it does make a difference. Yeah, either your government decides everybody has to take the shot or not. Yeah, or your government, floods the entire country with illegal immigrants or not. So yes, on that level, it does make a difference. And I think people are a little bit overwhelmed by the last couple of years of what went down here. So the minute somebody shows up that appears to bring some common sense to the table, that feels like a serious relief. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, well, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But some of the politicians I mean, I think they do this on purpose. Like when you look at someone like Biden, and we had it in the UK with Boris Johnson, like these are like clowns, like they're literal clowns. And I think they put these clowns in charge to make us feel even worse about ourselves. Because if we can be run by clowns, then what does that say about us? And I think it's a type of mockery as well. So yeah, I don't know if people actually want common sense. You know, in my experience, you come forward with common sense and you get attacked, right? So I don't know how true that is. I think people they love licking up the dog shit. They love it. They're like, give me more, give me more. You know. Oh,
Mm,
oh, I've got to wear a mask. Give me more. It's like.
mm,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the place is just, it's an insane asylum, and that's what I say to people now. I'm like, look, this place is crazy. It's you can, try and have fun while you're here. Get some hobbies, create, have a laugh at it, laugh at the people still driving in their cars with masks. You got to laugh at it. But if you can work out an exit plan, which hopefully, with the whole soul trick and everything like that, you can work it out, then hopefully it's your last time around. And in the meantime, for me, I'm just like, it's my last hurrah. I feel it. I feel it's my last hurrah. I know enough now that I don't think I'm going to come back. So I'm just going to laugh at it. And obviously I'm going to try and help as many people along the way. Um, and it is what it is at this stage. I think the next few years, who knows? I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that took the what that are probably going to leave us, and yeah, but it's also an interesting time as well, because at the same time there are a lot of people that are questioning. They've realised what a scam the last few years were. They had their lives stolen for a couple of years. And the system is definitely worried because we wouldn't be getting censored all the time, and I feel like it's a little bit like a cornered rat right now, and I think things are even more intense right now because it's throwing the kitchen sink at us. And I just say to people, look, hold steady, just make sure you're looking after yourself, get the right diet, get out in nature, but don't take it too seriously. And yeah, just poke fun of it while you're here. And
okay. So to wrap this up, this is something that I find interesting. And since we are at the end of the conversation, only those people will hear it who can still focus. Did you ever have a point in life or a series of experiences where you had to admit something was guiding me that I didn't have fully control over, and that you cannot really point your finger at what it was, but events that, you know, arranged in a way that was really beneficial for you, even if it looked in the beginning like crap?
Yeah, the best thing was when I quote unquote woke up, and I don't believe that I was guided by anything. I believe it was myself. I guided myself because I I've told the story a lot of times down the years. I was so dissatisfied with, you know, the corporate world that I was living in. I was bored. I was drained. I was being used and abused by the company I was working for. I was micromanaged, and it got to the point where it just forced me to ask the big questions. You know, look, is this what I'm going to do, like, for the rest of my life? Like, and I got a very strong, well, I don't know where this came from, but I believe that this was true. I was so stressed doing the job that I was doing. Honestly, month after month, got hit targets. Even if you hit targets, they would increase the targets the next month because you hit the target that you struggled to hit. That it was never enough. So you didn't get it. You didn't hit targets. You get a bollocking. If you hit your targets, they put your targets out. And I really I got this, like, it came from, I think it just came from within my soul. If you carry on doing what you're doing, you're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 55 or something. And I was like, oh, that resonates with me because I'm super stressed. And it was around that time that I remember the exact moment. It was like, what am I doing here? I'm 30. What was I at the time? 33, actually, which is interesting. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm 33. I'm existing. I'm not living, which was the name of my first book. And so, and then from there, you know, I was stumbling across, you know, 9/11. I found out about that, and the false moon, and all the other stuff. And as it goes with everyone, layer by layer by layer. So, but I believe that was me guiding myself. I don't feel like that was coming from anything outside of me. It came from my own willpower of wanting to change and really wanting to know. I didn't just want to know the truth. I want to know why this is. I want to know the absolute truth. Like, why is this like this? This doesn't make sense. Why do we have all these wars and everything like that? And you know, I'm not saying that I know everything, and there's always more to learn. But I think I've got a good handle on what's going on right now. So, and not just on the physical plane, but on the astral plane, where this is basically coming from. I mean, it's really pointless understanding the physical element of all of this until you understand the astral element of it all. Then it all makes sense. You can knit the pieces all together. So I wouldn't say I ever felt guided. I guess sometimes there's been like certain synchronicities where maybe um, I've met someone, or thought, oh, that was weird, or things like that. But yeah, I can't say even when I was never like a new ager. I did take a Reiki course back in the day, but a lot of it never really resonated with me. I didn't like being called a Reiki master. I was like, oh, that's creepy. I don't practice that now. I don't recommend it, but at the time, so yeah, I think my internal guidance guided me to most of it, to where I am today. So I wouldn't say it's down to any deity or guide or anything like that.
Mm. Yeah, I wasn't aiming at spirit guides or something like that. I know you're not in contact with any of
No, I hung up
them.
the phone with them for a while.
Yeah, but I have to say that, yeah, I had experiences when I look back today, I have to say, wow, I couldn't have planned it like that.
Mm,
That was like hand in glove.
mm,
And in between, there were really weird experiences, like my brain tumor, for instance. But even that played out wonderfully
mm.
because that took me out of the workforce.
Yeah.
And the entire timing was so accurate
Yeah.
because I never was in a situation, where I really was completely without money or whatever. So I went from being jobless to having a brain tumor to being out of the workforce, doing what I do now.
Mm.
And I still can maintain here my house. And as I said, even the timing, that was flawless.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean, because that kind of played out for me in a way. And I feel that maybe I think if you align with truth and your intention is based around truth, then I feel like maybe there's some kind of like support somehow. Um, so yeah, I guess that's speculation, but yeah, once I moved in the direction of, okay, this is all a scam and everything is a lie. Because the next question I had was, or the next thing that came to me was when the penny dropped and I realized they're trying to kill us all. I remember when I first, because I read about chemtrails on one day, and then the next morning I went out to work and I looked up and I saw them. I'm like, oh my God, they're actually true. I remember that. I still remember looking up and thinking, oh shit, they're actually doing that stuff. But the thing that came to me was like, okay, you know what they're doing now, so you got two options. You either stay quiet or you speak up about it. And I got that you're gonna lose a lot of people and you're gonna lose your life. And when I got that I lost my life, now I understand what it means, because I don't think it meant I'm going to lose my life in the physical term. Well, maybe I will, like, who knows? But I think it was more of, it was the death of the old me, and my life would be to give myself to this, what I'm doing now. Um, so yeah, I think there's certain I think bravery and courage tends to be rewarded in the long term a lot of the time. So maybe that's what it is when you align with good intentions to help, and you get some kind of support. But for me, I don't rely on that. I rely on me, number one. If there is support, great, I'll take it, right? But I'm not there like, okay, the universe has got my back, right? Because I know, I know if I just start eating junk food and I don't work out, the universe hasn't got my back, right? So
And it can't because you act stupid.
yeah, exactly. So, but some people believe things like that. They'll be like, well, everything happens for a reason and all this stuff. I'm like, well, most of the time it's because it's something that we're doing or not doing that something happens. But maybe there is some synchronicities and something else that. But I at this point where I'm at right now, I rely on nothing or nobody other than myself.
Yeah, I get that. These are just observations that I made, and I'm not saying I completely understand what this
No,
supportive
no. I mean,
like
it's good to.
or how it works. It's just that I noticed it. I observed it. And in hindsight, it's always easier because when you are in the middle of that thing, it's yeah,
But
having no job, having a brain tumor, that is enough for some people to go over the cliff. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. But if you study the NDEs, which I know you probably do, that they say that we plan our lives. So how much of this is planned? We have a life script.
Mm.
It's really worth looking into that side of it.
I guess I have diverted from that script a great deal.
Well, this is a point that I made the other day, is that I believe that we have a script, but we do have an element of willpower that we can engage with, because before I would say that my script was, yeah, I'd work in the matrix and then I'd work myself into the ground and then I'd have a heart attack and then die, right? But I injected my willpower and I invoked change within myself, and I believe that we can flip the script. So I don't think, because you think about it, okay, so just because I plan something in the astral realm, it's still me, so I'm still able to scrap that plan and change it in the physical plane. So, and I think something different happens when you quote unquote wake up, because all of a sudden you then go off script because you're not going along with their programs. And if you're not going along with their programs, then obviously your life script can change. So yeah, definitely we do plan our lives to a degree when you look at what goes on there, but I do believe that we can, like you say, move off script.
Yeah. Okay. So Tony, our hour is gone.
Go so quick.
Yeah, it was quick. And so I thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us. Yeah, guys, that was it. Night flight for today, and we see you all next time. Bye bye.